This is my 15th take, aka my 13th one since I had other ones to do. I'm doing this now because I probably have no motivation later, so I feel like it's best that I do this now while I can. I'm gonna be talking about animation on how I do it in the T-Engine style, I guess, aka Hello John Doe, whatever. Um, This will also talk about mostly how I do abilities, or how to set up abilities for survivors, mostly survivors. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same for killer. Maybe it is, but if it isn't, then I'll talk about it in a different video, I guess. Mostly just a whole killer guide. I'm gonna see if I can set this up real quick. I'll try to explain pretty much everything regarding it, mostly about animation, since that's probably like the most asked question, I guess. I use, instead of keyframes, I use action recorders, since keyframes kind of take up more gameplay memory, and just because action recorders are just a little bit more easier to use, I guess. Plus, you can do more with these anyway. That's why most survivors take up, I guess, less gameplay memory, so you can place a lot more down than regular dream games, I guess. If you don't know how to use action recorders, I recommend looking up a video on how to do it. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just like a timeline, but like how you would do in like regular animation. You get a timeline, you put your keyframes in there. Action recorder is basically just an optimized version of that, and you do the keyframes in the action recorder. And some people know action recorders mostly for the action mode, and you can do that, but the way we do it in T-Engine is that we're going to do it in keyframe mode. I'm going to do a little animation, I guess. Probably, I'm not going to put too much effort into this. I'll just make him spin for now. I probably won't do anything, but, you know, animation. Okay, now that I finished this stupid animation, mostly in my style, I like to use because there's this thing called stop motion effect, not to get confused with the paint effect. You can apply a stop motion effect to keyframes to make it look more, I guess, retro.
What are you talking about?
I like to do it 2 times, since it makes it more choppier. Plus, you can barely see like stage 1 stop motion. I guess if that's what you're into, I don't really care what you do. This is just what I do when I do my animation. It honestly just looks better. To apply stop motion, you want to hold X on all the keyframes or whatever, and you want to hold L1 in triangle, and then you want to do that 2 times, mostly in my style, and then you have this cool stop motion effect. It looks cool.
Homer, you are...
What you want to do is that you want to go into the abilities microchip. Let's say we're going to change ability 1. I know ability 2 is a little bit more messier, but whatever. First of all, before we talk about anything in this stupid thing, this not gate causes the animation to reset. So you probably want this to be at like the end of the timeline, aka animation. This is the animation I did. So, and this is the animation of the red ability. So we're gonna delete this, and we're gonna keep these 2 things, I guess. Yeah. So you probably have to clean up the stupid ability. These are the 3 things that you should have: this action recorder, and this player detect thingy in this also. Now we're gonna put our animation in here. I already planned this out beforehand. If you didn't notice already, my animation doesn't move the legs. So we're gonna have to, because I'm gonna probably do like a animation where I'm still able to move and stuff, I guess. This animation that I made doesn't move the legs, so because I'm probably gonna just make this like able to move and stuff, aka armless, I guess. What armless does is that it basically is like all the idle and run animations, except that the legs are the only thing that moves. So I left the legs the only thing that's not moving. I thought I would just talk about that. It's a little bit more easier. Let's move over to this action recorder. This action recorder is what I like to call the restrictions and stuff. Basically, it just limits like whatever you want in the animation, mostly in the animation. So in here, um, the only thing that causes like that stops it, and I recommend it should stay that way, is the jump animation. So this is already turned off, but since our character animation legs don't move, we're gonna go into the running animations and stuff. Since we don't want to completely turn it off, this whole thing, this green microchip has these different animation settings. Mostly we're gonna pay attention to armless. So what we want to do is that we want to turn this off and turn that on. So as you can see, our animation, well, these parts of the character aren't moving, obviously, and the legs are the only thing that are the same. That's what we want for this animation. So when we play it, it works pretty normally. Now the legs don't move during that. We want to keep that on. I'm gonna move on to the player detect thing. Basically, this causes like whatever kind of effects you want in it, like camera shaking and controller rumbling. I think camera shaking is the most noticeable one, so we'll just do that. We'll do like some kind of, I don't know what this is gonna do. It's gonna do something. It's gonna shake the screen a little bit. What you want to do is that you want to connect this player thing, this trigger zone, to the whatever effect that you want it to play out in this animation. You can also do it this way in a timeline format. I don't recommend it since it's kind of messy. So just it's more easier if you put it on here. It is your code, so you can do it however you want. But you should probably still like know the stuff. I think that's it about that. We're gonna move on to cooldowns. This is pretty self-explanatory. You can change the cooldown to whatever cooldown you want. It uses a timer. I was gonna use variables for this, but it would probably took up too much gameplay memory, so I ultimately used timers. I don't think there's much to talk about here, so just if you want to change that. This node right here is the cancels that you want. And this microchip also what's like all the cancel stuff. This is the hurt canceled. Basically, this makes whenever you get hurt, this node triggers on. So if you want something to get canceled out when you get hurt, you just can connect this to this node right here. I recommend not messing with this one, but basically this means that, well, depending on what you're making, I guess you can leave it out. This node right here, I didn't name it, but this node activates when you're dead, or your character's dead, so it will keeps repeating itself when you're dead, just in case if the ability is trying to go off still. This is called emote override. This is basically cancels the ability or animation when you emote. I recommend having this also connected. Mostly the most optional one is the hurt cancel, but ultimately all of them are, but depends on what you want. That's pretty much it about that also. Okay, so now that we're in game, I must mention that armless stops you from sprinting also. I didn't really think people would like have like armless running and stuff. You're gonna have to work your way around that. That's completely on me. As you can see, this pretty much works actually. It's stupid, but it works. As an example, it's not supposed to be too serious, so don't expect it to be like something crazy. As for, let's say, your animation is supposed to be something maybe regarding like leg movement and also and stuff. So let's say we're gonna move the legs up a bit. We're just gonna move them a little bit. They're not supposed to be like too much of anything. Now that we have the leg movement involved and stuff, you can see that it obviously doesn't work properly. So we're gonna go back in our action recorder that has all the restrictions and stuff. We want to turn off the running animation and stuff, so that way our character has full animation movement. As you can see, it works properly now. Now let's also say that we want this character to stand still when we use it. This ability, we want to go to the controller logic and stuff. In this one that has all the health and stuff, we want to go to this microchip above the controller thingy, and we want to enable controller. Okay, we want to enable lock controller, so that way this basically causes the player to stand still when they use it. So when we go in game now, I can't move when we use it. So not only that I can't move while using it, my animations all work properly when using it. I thought this would take a lot more longer to record. I think that's pretty much everything. If there's something you guys want me to talk about next, leave it in the comment section on this video, and also leave it on the other video that I made talking about the tutorials and stuff. I barely had the courage to record this because of how many times I had to redo it. Yeah, that's basically it. I'll see you guys in the next video.